Bitcoin could go to zero tomorrow, and Securitize would still be very successful. Hey everyone, today I want to talk about a company that I think could be a really great investment, Securitize Incorporated, a company founded by Carlos Domingo, which falls under the tickers CEPT and SECZ. I was the first analyst on Seeking Alpha to cover Securitize, and after spending a lot of time studying the business, I've become convinced that it has long-term potential. Most people still hear blockchain and immediately think of crypto speculation. I believe tokenization allows for practical blockchain solutions that real institutions can actually use. I bought this stock so that I can invest in a tokenization pure play. So in this video, I'm going to explain why I like it and why I believe Carlos Domingo's mission to tokenize the world will be a success. Now, one quick note, Securitize should not be confused with Securify, which was founded by Carl Zonta. His mission, as he puts it, is to tokenize the world.
All of it, even you.
With that cleared up, let's get started. Let me start with the basics for anyone who isn't deeply familiar with this stuff. Blockchain is essentially a digital ledger, a record-keeping system that's shared across thousands of computers instead of being controlled by one bank or company.
So everything you own, the ownership is recorded on a ledger, right? Somewhere it says that you own X shares of this, and then every time there is any sort of transaction, you trade, you redeem, you get a dividend paid, etc. That involves updating sometimes multiple ledgers. If you think about what tokenization is, it's essentially upgrading the ledger where capital markets run to a better ledger technology.
On top of that, you have smart contracts. Basically, small programs that live on the blockchain and automatically execute when certain conditions are met. Tokenization uses this framework. Instead of owning a physical deed or a paper certificate, we use digital tokens on a blockchain. A great real-world example of this already working is stablecoins. These are tokenized dollars that run on a blockchain. The stablecoin issuer, like Circle, receives a real dollar from a user and provides a tokenized version.
People and businesses have figured out, in Turkey, just as one example, that they can transact with each other directly without an intermediary, instantly, with virtually no cost.
So if stablecoins can bring those kinds of improvements just to money, imagine what happens when we apply the same idea to other assets, things like real estate, private equity funds, bonds, and stocks. These are real-world assets, RWAs. So now that we understand what tokenization is, let's talk about how Securitize actually makes money. They've built a full-stack platform that handles multiple parts of the process, acting as a regulated transfer agent, broker-dealer, asset manager, alternative trading system, and fund administrator. Their revenue comes from several sources. Some are recurring, like ongoing servicing and administration fees for assets once they're tokenized. Others are more one-time in nature, particularly the on-chain integration fees they earn when adding new blockchains or bringing on new issuers. This full-stack approach is one of the reasons institutions feel comfortable working with them. A lot of crypto projects over the last few years deliberately tried to stay as far away from regulators as possible. Many set up offshore, avoided compliance. That approach created enormous risk and distrust. So Securitize took the opposite path. They chose to do the hard, expensive work of becoming fully regulated in the United States.
I was feeling like I'm never going to be able to compete with these people that are basically doing illegal stuff, but they're printing money. And then, to be honest with you, now after that, I felt vindicated because all those companies, went out of business. It required a lot of conviction over the years.
This compliance-first approach is exactly why I believe the conversation is quietly shifting from crypto to blockchain. Institutions like BlackRock, Apollo, KKR, Hamilton Lane, and Van Eck, they want reliable infrastructure they can actually trust with billions of dollars. A good example is BUIDL, B-U-I-D-L, a fully on-chain money market fund that they created with BlackRock. It already has over $2 billion in assets under management. When you combine real regulation with blockchain technology, you start unlocking advantages that go far beyond speculation and done in a way that big money feels comfortable participating. This gives Securitize access to all of their distribution networks and marketing efforts. This is why I can say with confidence, Bitcoin could go to zero tomorrow, and Securitize would still be very successful. So let's talk about where Securitize stands financially right now. For the first 9 months of 2025, Securitize reported revenue of $55.6 million. That's up dramatically from just $5.9 million in the same period of 2024, an increase of nearly $50 million. Importantly, the company has already turned profitable. In their Form S-4 filing, they guided for approximately $69 million in full year 2025 revenue and $17 million in earnings. This is impressive progress. They've scaled revenue significantly while moving into profitability. However, it's worth noting that a meaningful portion of the on-chain integration revenue likely comes from one-time setup and integration fees. So while the growth is real, some of it may not repeat at the same rate going forward. Still, the overall direction is clearly positive. They're generating real earnings, and they are slated to be debt-free after the merger. Looking ahead, the growth potential for Securitize looks very strong. In their Form S-4 filing, the company guided for approximately $110 million in full year 2026 revenue and $32 million in adjusted EBITDA. Several recent developments should help them from there. One of the most notable is their partnership with the New York Stock Exchange, just announced last week. This collaboration aims to develop tokenized securities infrastructure and 24/7 trading capabilities. Now let's go back to BUIDL. Every dollar that flows into funds like BUIDL generates ongoing servicing revenue for Securitize. As more large asset managers tokenize their funds through Securitize, recurring fees will grow. The total addressable market for real-world asset tokenization is measured in trillions of dollars. Securitize isn't trying to capture all of it. They just need a reasonable share of institutional adoption to build a very large business over time. As a value investor, what I like is that they're doing this while staying fully compliant and already reaching profitability. That is a combination of strong growth and disciplined risk management. Of course, no investment is without risk, and Securitize has some important ones that are worth highlighting. First, regulatory risk remains real. Even though they've done the hard work of becoming fully regulated in the US, the rules around tokenized assets are still evolving. We see this with the current controversy around the Clarity Act in stablecoins. Any major changes in how regulators treat these assets could slow down adoption or increase compliance costs. It's a big unknown. Second, because a good portion of their recent revenue growth has come from one-time on-chain integration fees, revenue growth will be volatile and it will be difficult to predict. The market may change its mind on this stock a lot. And finally, Securitize is going through a SPAC merger process to take it public. This is why looking up CEPT gets you Cantor Equity Partners II Incorporated. Securitize is going to merge into it, which is a shell company, in order to go public. And then the stock will become SECZ. For now, shareholders have to be content to own the SPAC and trust that the merger will proceed unhindered. So let's wrap this up. On a pro forma basis after the merger, CEPT/SECZ has a market cap of around $1.8 billion right now. Now think bigger for a second, really big.
Carlos, congratulations. You have a 20% market share of a market that seemingly doubles every year or two.
So the market today is very small, actually. We're the largest player, but the market is around $25 to $30 billion. The bottom of the projections is like around $2 trillion. So $2 trillion, 10% of that is $200 billion. So our company will grow tremendously in the next few years.
That could pull earnings into the hundreds of millions and give us something like a 10x in the stock price. That's the opportunity that I see. So with all of that said now, that's why I believe Securitize has the potential to be one of the better long-term investments in blockchain infrastructure space.
Hello, Joseph.
Charles Sontag?
Yes, we have come for you. Prepare to be tokenized.
Oh boy. Well, I need to get out of here. It's time to haul some real-world ass.